You now know the 4 levers, you know the 3 tests, and you know the 3 buckets that you need to utilize to create wealth. You have the complete blueprint now for building velocity and wealth. But here's the problem. If you're manually managing this every single month, the bottom line is you're gonna quit in the next 90 days. Because the fact is, budgets fail for one reason and one reason only, and that's decision fatigue. See, you make thousands of micro decisions every single day. What to eat, what to wear, what to say in that meeting, and then you expect yourself to come home and make another 47 decisions about whether that $8 coffee fits into the miscellaneous category in your budget. It's exhausting. So you stop, and at the end of the day, the system falls apart. So that's why in this video, I'm showing you the anti-budget, how to automate this entire system so your money flows into the right buckets without you even thinking about it. You set it up once and it runs forever. No willpower required, no decision fatigue, no spreadsheets to update every single week. And I'm gonna show you something that most people never realize. If you're earning $100,000 right now, over the next 10 years, your income is gonna go up by over $34,000 a year just from cost of living raises alone. And the bottom line is, if you don't have automation in place, that extra $34,000 is gonna disappear into what I call lifestyle creep. You'll never even notice it. Automation captures it. Manual management loses it. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to set up your accounts, where to route your money, and how to make this system completely automatic. This is where theory becomes execution. So let's go. Hey, I'm Kirkpatrick, and welcome to episode 4 of the Cashflow Hacking Masterclass. So, before we get into everything, let's do a lightning recap of the first 3 videos. So episode 1, we talked about the 4 levers of wealth. We talked about income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, and of course, velocity. Most people only knew the 3 coming into that, and velocity of money was the shift. Then in episode 2, we talked about the 3 tests, which are liquidity, use, and control of your money. Your 401k failed all 3, whole life insurance passed all 3, and we talked about real estate and your Roth as well. And then of course, last episode 3, we talked about the 3 buckets. We have the foundational fund, the productive assets, and then ultimately long-term investing. Bucket 1 was mandatory, bucket 2 was optional based on your investor DNA, and bucket 3 was once again mandatory to create long-term wealth and stability. You picked your path based on your investor DNA. So now you know what to do. But here's where most people fail. They try to do all of this manually. They say, okay, I'm gonna put $500 into my whole life policy, $400 in my investment account, $300 into savings, and for the first month, they do it. The second month, they do it. The third month, well, let's face it, life gets a little busy sometimes, right? So they forget. They skip a transfer. And by month 6, they're back to their old habits. See, the problem isn't you're disciplined. The problem is that you're making the system dependent on daily decisions by you. And anytime a system depends on your daily willpower, I promise you it's gonna fail. That's why wealthy people don't budget, they automate. They build systems that execute without their involvement. And that's what this anti-budget is all about. So, what is the anti-budget? Well, it's simple. It's a system where your money automatically flows into the right buckets the moment that it hits your account without you touching it. So here's how most people handle money. Your paycheck hits, your bills get paid, and whatever's left over just sits in your checking account. And at some random point they think, I should probably move some of my money to savings. So they manually transfer 200 bucks or whatever they transfer, or they forget, or they spend it. That, my friends, is chaos. There's no system, no structure, just hoping that you remember to do the right thing, relying on your willpower. Anti-budget flips this on its head. Here's what happens. Your paycheck hits a storage tank, a high yield savings account that I'll explain in a minute. Instantly, money is automatically routed to your 3 buckets based on your preset dollar amounts. Your foundational fund gets funded, your investing accounts get funded, and productive assets also get funded, all before you see the money, all before you can spend it, all before you even have to think about it. By the time money lands in your checking account, it's only what you've allocated for expenses. Everything else is already working. That's the anti-budget. You're not managing money, you're managing a system that manages your money for you. And here's the key insight that makes this work. You pay your future self first, not last. See, most people pay bills first, spend second, and save whatever's left over, which is actually, for most people, nothing. See, the anti-budget pays your future self first the moment that your paycheck hits, and then you live off what remains. It's a forced savings process through automation. All right, so here's the hierarchy, the order in which your money flows when your paycheck hits. And this is critical because the bottom line is the order in which you do this matters probably more than anything. So step one, income deposits into your storage tank. And we'll cover exactly what this is in a minute, but this is where your paycheck lands first. It's a high yield savings account that acts as your financial air traffic controller, if you will. Step two is that the storage tank routes money to your buckets, right? So bucket one, your foundational fund, your whole life insurance premium. This is the most important payment because this is your foundation of your entire financial life. This auto drafts the day after your paycheck hits. Make this bulletproof. This is a non-negotiable savings mechanism. So step three, the storage tank then routes money into bucket three, which is for investing, your evidence-based diversified funds. Remember that? So you want to automatic transfer the same day or the next that this money hits. This is systematic wealth building. Set it and forget it. Don't think about it anymore. So step four is the storage tank routes money to bucket two for productive assets if this is applicable to you based on your investor DNA. Now, if you're on the entrepreneur path, then you're setting money aside for future real estate deals, business investments, private lending, things of that nature. This can either go to a separate opportunity fund or it can go to an additional payment to a whole life insurance policy, depending on where you're wanting to save that money. Once again, it's on auto transfer. And then step five, the storage tank routes the remaining money to a checking account for your fixed and variable expenses every single month. Your mortgage, your utilities, your groceries, your gas. This is the stuff that you live your life on, your monthly and annually living expenses. And because you've already funded your future in steps 2 through 4, you can spend this guilt-free without even thinking about it. So this is the hierarchy. Your income goes into your storage tank, goes into bucket 1, goes into bucket 3, goes into bucket 2, goes into your checking for your expenses to live on. Your future self gets paid first, and your lifestyle gets funded last. This is how you build wealth systematically. Now, here's why this is so powerful. You never see the money. It's gone before you can spend it. When you automate the buckets, your brain adjusts. You don't miss out on the $500 going to your foundational fund because you never saw it in your checking account in the first place. Your lifestyle automatically calibrates to what's left. And within 2 months, you don't even think about it. You've just built a better habit through better systems. This is the opposite of budgeting because the anti-budget says remove temptation, automate savings, live on what remains, no willpower required. You're not fighting yourself, you're removing the fight entirely. And here's what happens over time. You're gonna get raises. You make more money, your earning capacity increases. And because the system is automatic, your wealth building is gonna scale as your income scales. You see, your lifestyle might creep up a little, but your foundational fund and investing accounts are growing even faster. That's how you build real wealth, not by cutting expenses to the bone, but by automating the right dollar amounts and adjusting them annually as your income grows. All right, so let's talk about the actual account structure, because if you don't set your accounts up correctly, automation is just not gonna work, right? And I'm gonna introduce you to a tool that makes this entire system work seamlessly. So here's what you need. What I call account zero. It's called Currence. And this is an absolute game changer. See, Currence is a high yield savings account that acts as your storage tank. It's your financial air traffic controller, if you will. This is where your paycheck deposits first. Here's why this is brilliant. While your money sits in Currence, even if it's just for a day or two before routing it to other accounts, it's earning interest. You're not leaving the money sitting idle in a zero interest checking account. Every dollar is working from the moment that it hits. And here's the best part. Currence automatically routes your money to all your other accounts based on the rules that you set. You configure it once, $435 a month to whole life, $315 a month to an investment account, $5,500 to checking for expenses, and it executes automatically every time your paycheck hits. You can adjust these amounts annually as your income grows, but month to month, it just runs on autopilot. Now, if you have irregular income or one-time bonuses, things like that come through, you can also make sure that you manually allocate this from Currence at the same time whenever you need it to happen. But the bottom line is for 95% of the people with regular paychecks, this is completely automatic. Currence is your autopilot. So account 1, your primary checking. This is where Currence routes money for your expenses, fixed and variable. This is your day-to-day spending account. The only money sitting here is what you've allocated for bills, groceries, gas, entertainment. Everything else is already in the other buckets, so you're good to go. Account 2 is your whole life insurance policy. Now, while this isn't technically a bank account, it's your insurance company, Currence can actually route the money here directly and make the payment for you, or your whole life insurance premium can auto draft directly from your checking. Either way, it's automatic. This is your first bucket. So account 3, this is your brokerage or investment account, your evidence-based diversified funds. Currence automatically transfers money here for you. For investing, we recommend firms that use academic research, like our partner with Matson Money, but use whoever aligns with your philosophy. Account 4 is your opportunity fund. Now, while once again, this is optional, based on your investor DNA, if you're on the entrepreneurial path, you'll have either a separate high yield savings account or you'll fund more into your whole life insurance policy. This is for bucket 2, right? This is where you save for down payments on real estate, investments in business, for private lending, anything of that nature. Currence can route the money here automatically once again. Keep this separate from your emergency fund so you don't accidentally spend it. So at a minimum, here's what you need. You need Currence, which is basically the hub that everything runs through. You need a checking account. You need a whole life insurance policy. You need an investment account, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you need to add the opportunity fund. That's it. Simple structure, powerful execution. That's on you. Now, before we walk through a real example, I need to explain something that most people don't understand. And it's the reason why someone making $200,000 can save a higher percentage than somebody making $100,000. It's not about discipline. This is simply about math. Here's the reality. The lower your income, the higher percentage needs to go to your basic living expenses. Can't escape this. You need a roof over your head, food, utilities, transportation. These are baseline costs that don't just scale down because you make less money. And this is absolutely critical to understand because when we talk about the bucket allocations, we're always allocating from our surplus after expenses, not from your total income. Let me show you what I mean. Now, household A makes $100,000 a year. They're in a 25% tax bracket. So after taxes, they take home $75,000, which would be about $6,250 a month. Their living expenses, their mortgage or rent, their utilities, food, transportation, insurance, childcare, all these things are about $5,500 a month. That's $66,000 a year. And that's not being extravagant. That's just life. A mortgage on a modest home in most cities, $2,000 to $2,500 a month. A car payment, $400. Insurance, $300 a month. Utilities, $200. Groceries for a family, $800. Childcare, if you have young kids, $1,000+ a month. It all adds up fast. So their surplus, which is what's left after those expenses, is only about $750 a month. That's about $9,000 a year. That means they can only save about 12% of their gross income. Not because they're undisciplined, but because 88% of their take home goes to basic living expenses. There's just not much room to work with. Now let's look at household B, $200,000 a year. Now they're in a higher tax bracket, let's call it 30% tax bracket. So after taxes, they take home about $140,000 a year, which is $11,666 a month. Can they live on the same $5,500 a month that household A spends? Sure, but they don't have to. Let's say they increase their lifestyle, nicer house, nicer car, better vacations. Their expenses are increased to $8,500 a month, or let's call that $102,000 a year. They wind up spending about 55% more than household A. But here's what happens to their surplus. They have $3,166 a month left over. That's $38,000 a year compared to the $9,000. That means they can actually save 19% of their gross income, and that's after increasing their lifestyle by 55%. if they kept their lifestyle at the same amount as a $5,500 a month household they'd had, they could save actually up to 38% of their gross income and get to their financial goals faster. So as your income scales, you can see the power you have in reaching your goals faster. And this is why higher earners can simply save more, not just in dollars, but in percentage of income, because basic living expenses don't scale linearly with your income. You see, you can only live in one house. You can only drive one car at a time. So as income goes up, the percentage available for wealth building goes up even faster. And here's a key takeaway for the anti-budget. All of our bucket allocations are based on your surplus, not your total income. So when I say bucket one gets 58%, I mean 58% of the $750 per month surplus, not 58% of the $6,250 take-home income that you have every single month. Your expenses are protected first. Then we automate the wealth building from what's left over. So as we walk through the next example, you're gonna see someone making $100,000 might only have $750 a month for their 3 buckets. And that's okay. That's just reality. As their income grows, that surplus is also gonna grow faster than their expenses. And the automation is what's gonna capture it. That's the power of the automation in the entire system. All right, let me walk you through a real example so we can see exactly how this works with Currence at the center of everything. We're gonna use that same $100,000 income household that we just discussed, and I'm gonna show you that how we automate everything step by step and how that's gonna change the entire success metric for everybody. So, $100,000 income after taxes is $75,000 take home, which is $6,250 per month. Your living expenses are $5,500 a month, which leaves a surplus of $750 per month. And remember, that's only 12% of their gross income. Most of their money has to go to their living expenses. That's just the reality at this income level. Let's just say that this household is on the employee path. No active real estate or business investing, okay? That's key. So they're only gonna use buckets 1 and 3. Here's the allocation for that $750 surplus. Bucket 1, their foundational fund inside of a whole life insurance policy is gonna get $435 per month. It's 58% of the $750. Bucket 3 is gonna get $315 a month, which is 42% of that. Now here's where we need to be strategic. The $435 a month for whole life insurance, that's gonna build your foundation, but it's not a huge premium. So here's what I recommend at this point and with this income level. We wanna take about $50 to $75 a month out of that $435 and put it towards a convertible term policy. This gives you the death benefit protection that you need right now. Maybe it's $500,000, maybe it's $750, maybe it's more. But it gives you the most coverage for the least amount of money, and it protects your insurable need and it protects your family. But the key word here is that this policy has to be convertible because it locks in your insurability and it locks in your ability to execute, right? So even if your health changes, whether you get diabetes, heart conditions, cancer, you can convert that term policy to a whole life policy later without a medical exam. See, you're protecting your future ability to fund your velocity engine that we've been talking about. Then you take the remaining $360 to $385 from that $435 and you put it towards the whole life insurance and start building your cash value foundation. You want to make sure that this policy is designed properly with high cash value. It's not a massive policy yet, but over the next 5 to 7 years, you're gonna have $20,000 to $25,000 in cash value. And here's the key. As your income grows, and we'll talk about that in a minute, you increase this allocation and you convert portions of your term policy to whole life insurance. By year 5 or 7, maybe you're putting $800 a month into a whole life because your income is now $115,000 and your surplus every month is $1,200. So you're getting the coverage that you need today and you're building the foundation for velocity tomorrow. This is how you start even when cash flow is tight. And this is the most common situation that I see. Okay, so here's how they set up Currence in the automation. Make sure you follow this closely because this is exactly what you need to do. Day 1, your paycheck deposits into your Currence account. Let's say that they get paid on the 1st and the 15th of every month. $3,125 deposits directly into their Currence accounts. Now, the moment that that money hits Currence, it's earning interest, even if it's only there for 24 hours before routing somewhere else. The bottom line is nothing is sitting idle, and that's key. Day 2, Currence automatically routes the money based on your preset rules. They've configured Currence to execute the following every payday. $435 routes to the insurance, split between your convertible term and your whole life insurance policies, and $315 routes to your investment account, which we would, like I said, use Matson money for most of that. And then of course, $2,375 routes to the checking account for your fixed and variable expenses. All of this happens automatically. They wake up on day 2 and their buckets are already funded. Their checking account has exactly what they need for half a month's expenses, no decisions, no transfers to remember, the system executed automatically. Now, days 3 through 14, your bills are gonna auto pay from your checking. Their mortgage is gonna auto draft on the 5th. Utilities, car payments, car insurance, all your insurances, all set to auto pay throughout the month. They are on autopilot. There's no thinking involved. Now, days 3 through 14, you're gonna live on what remains for your variable. After your fixed expenses auto pay, they're gonna have about $850 to $900 a month left in your checking per paycheck for groceries, gas, dining out, and entertainment. They spend this guilt-free because their future self is already funded. This is the pay yourself first mentality. And then on the 15th, your paycheck hits Currence again, the cycle repeats. Day 16, Currence routes the $435 to your whole life policy and your term policy. $315 goes to your investments, and the next $2375 goes right to your checking. Day 17 and 18, the bills are gonna auto pay, and then they're building wealth on autopilot again. That is it. That's the anti-budget with Currence. They set this up once. It took maybe 2 to 3 hours in total to open Currence, configure the routing rules, and set up the auto pay for the bills, and now it runs forever. They don't budget, they don't track, they don't make daily decisions. The system executes, and they're building massive wealth without even thinking about it. Now here's the part that most people never realize, and this is why automation isn't just convenient, it's the wealth capture process of everything. So let's talk about something called spending creep, because this is the silent killer of wealth. That household we just looked at, $100,000 in income, $750 a month surplus, they feel cash flow constrained, right? And they know they are, and they are. But here's what happens over the next 10 years if they don't have automation in place. Every single year, they get a cost of living increase. Let's be conservative and call it 3% annually. This is considering that they don't even increase their earning capacity by getting better in skills and getting raises. 5 years from now, their income is gonna be $115,927. That's an extra $15,927 per year compared to today. 10 years from now, their income is gonna be $134,477. That's an extra $34,477 per year compared to today. And that's assuming, once again, that they don't improve their skills, they don't get promoted, and they don't start a side business to increase their earning capacity. This is just showing up and getting the normal raises based on cost of living adjustments. Now here's the question, where does that extra $15,000 or $34,000 go? If they don't have a system, if they're managing this manually, I promise you that money just disappears. It's so frustrating. It goes to a nicer car, a bigger house, more dining out, better vacations, lifestyle creep. That's what I'm talking about. And they never even notice it because it happens slowly, $100 at a time. They'll be making $134,000 in 10 years and they'll still feel broke because their expenses grew with their income. They didn't capture the growth, they spent it. But here's what happens when they automate. Year 1, $750 a month into the buckets. That's $9,000 per year going to your wealth building. Maybe not as much as you want, but it's something. And you started. Now they get a 3% raise in year 2. Their income is now $103,000, right? Their expenses might creep up a little bit, maybe $100 a month or so, maybe more than that, a little bit. But here's the key. They're adjusting their Currence routing rules annually. So now instead of $750 a month going to the buckets, they can allocate $800 a month, capturing most of that raise. By year 5, they're making $115,927. Their expenses are maybe $6,000 a month now, They've increased their lifestyle a bit, right? But their automated allocation to buckets is now $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. That's a big increase. They're automatically capturing an extra $3,000 a year in wealth building compared to year one. And by year 10, they're making $134,477. Their expenses are maybe $6,500 a month. Their automated allocation is now $1,400 a month or $16,800 per year, which is going into the wealth building buckets. They're capturing an extra $7,800 a year compared to year one automatically. And remember, this is also compounding the whole time. And that's the difference. Without automation, that extra income disappears into lifestyle. With automation, it's in your foundational fund and your investment account, compounding, building velocity. And over 10 years, we're not just talking about 1 year's difference. We're talking about the cumulative capture of all those raises together. Without automation, you spent an extra $50,000 plus on lifestyle creep over the decade and now have nothing to show for it. With automation, you captured that $50,000. It's compounding, and it's now worth $60,000 to $70,000 or more. And this is why automation isn't optional if you want to build wealth. It's not just about making it easier, it's about capturing your future income instead of bleeding it into your lifestyle inflation. Your income is gonna grow. We know that. The question is, are you gonna capture that growth or are you gonna spend it without even noticing? Now, some of you are thinking, Chris, this works if you have a steady paycheck, but I'm self-employed. My income fluctuates. How do I use Currence if this is the case? Well, guess what? That's a great question. But here's the adjustment. With Currence, you can set it to automatic mode for your baseline amounts that you can assume conservatively that you'll have, and then you can manually allocate additional income when you have bigger months. So here's how. Let's say you're on the entrepreneur path. You know that your baseline income after expenses is at least $3,000 a month in surplus, okay? You set your Currence to automatically route based on that baseline, 40% to bucket one, 35% to bucket two, and 25% to bucket three. But some months you make way more, right? Let's say that you close a big deal and after expenses you have an extra $7,000 surplus that month. That money sits in Currence, which is earning interest. And on the first of the next month, you manually allocate it based on your same percentages. $2,800 to bucket one, $2,450 to bucket two, $1,750 to bucket three. It takes 5 minutes. The key is you do it immediately when you see the surplus before you spend anything. Pay your future self first, then live on what remains. Same principle, slightly different execution because your income varies. Now, here's what you don't do with the anti-budget. You don't track daily. You don't log into Currence every single day. You don't check your whole life cash value every single week. That's micromanaging. That's exhausting. That defeats the purpose entirely. Instead, you do quarterly reviews. Every 3 months, you sit down for 30 minutes and you review. Is Currence routing correctly? Did any of the transfers fail? Has my income increased? Should I adjust my dollar amounts that are going into Currence? Has my situation changed? Do I need to adjust my path? That's it. 4 times a year, 30 minutes each time. 2 hours of total annual maintenance for a system that's building wealth 24/7, 365. That's the power of automation. And if your income goes up, you get a raise. Your business grows, you get a bonus. You log into Currence and you adjust your routing rules up. More income equals more going to your buckets 1 and 3. Your lifestyle can creep up a little bit, but your wealth building scales even faster. That's how you capture future income. All right, so before we wrap up, let me give you 3 of the most common mistakes that people make when setting up the anti-budget with Currence. So mistake number 1 is starting too aggressively. They try to fund massive amounts in month 1 when they really only have a $750 a month surplus. They allocate $700 to buckets, leaving only $50 for variable expenses. This is not a sustainable thing, right? They feel deprived and they quit by month 2. We don't want that to happen to you. So start with allocations that you can sustain. If you're not sure, start conservative, maybe 50% of your surplus to the buckets and try to increase that every single quarter. Build the habit first. Scale the dollars second. Currence makes it easy to adjust. Just update your routing on a quarterly basis. Now, mistake 2 is actually not setting up Currence. Instead, they write down a plan. They watch this video, they intend to do it, but they don't actually open up the Currence account and configure it so it's automated, right? So it's still manual, and manual means it's gonna fail eventually. You need to literally open a Currence account and configure the routing in it. You can click on the link in the description below and we can help you get set up. You can set up a clarity call with us and we can help you do this. That's part of working with Life 180 in the cash flow process. Just having good intention isn't enough. Now, mistake number 3 is rating the buckets. They set up the Currence account, it works for 3 months, and then they see that there's $2,000 in their opportunity fund and they think, oh, I could use that on a vacation. Don't. The buckets are there for an assigned purpose. If you raid them, the system will break down. Protect the automation. The buckets are sacrosanct. If you need extra money, cut variable expenses, not your future. All right, so now you have it, the complete anti-budget system with Currence. Your income deposits into Currence first, earning interest immediately and daily and consistently. Currence automatically routes money to your buckets based on the rules that you set. You pay your future self first. You live on what remains. You review it quarterly, you adjust it annually as your income grows. You capture your future raises instead of losing them to lifestyle creep. You set this up once. It takes 2 to 3 hours and then it runs forever. No willpower, no decision fatigue, and no tracking lattes. It's just a system that builds wealth while you focus on living your life and increasing your income. But here's the question that you're probably asking. Okay, Chris, does this actually work in real life? What do the numbers look like over 10, 20, or even 30 years? Well, that's what episode 5 is gonna be all about, because I'm gonna be walking you through and showing you 3 real families, right? An $85,000 W-2 employee who thought that they were cash flow poor, a $220,000 entrepreneur juggling multiple businesses, and a $600,000 a year real estate investor with $600,000 trapped in the equity in their real estate. You're gonna see their old plan versus their new plan using Currence, the 3 buckets, the automation, everything that we do. And you're gonna see the 20-year projections for each one of them. The spreadsheets, I'm gonna show it all. The illustrations, the actual math for everybody. This is where it all clicks because you'll see, oh, that's me. That's my income level. That's what happens if I build the foundation with Currence and automation versus if I just keep doing what I've been doing. Episode 5 is gonna be the proof for that. But before you go to episode 5, do me 2 favors here. Number 1, hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell, turn on the notifications because episode 5 is gonna be the grand finale to this entire masterclass. And if you miss it, you miss the proof. So go subscribe now, hit the bell, that way you're notified. And the second thing is drop a comment for me. Tell me, are you going to use Currence? Are you thinking about it? Are you willing to do the work and set up this automation and build your anti-budget this week? Set up a clarity call using the link in the description or the comments that I have pinned to the top because I want to actually see who's implementing this. And if you've used Currence in the past, I'd love to hear your feedback. All right, so that's episode 4. You now know how to automate the entire system using Currence. No more budgeting, no more willpower, no more decision fatigue. No more losing your future raises to lifestyle creep. Just set it up once and let it run. Episode 5 shows you what happens when you do. I'll see you there.